Hey guys, Christina here. Today I want to talk about something that's been really challenging for me and that I've had a really hard time embracing lately, and that's change. Change is extremely uncomfortable for me, and I think a lot of people can say the same. I think a lot of you can agree with me. Now, there are people who, which I'm inspired by, but there are people who just, change comes, they embrace it, they run with it, they run straight into it and just take it as an opportunity and just do what they need to do with it. I am not one of those people. Lately, there's been so many changes, and I think we can all agree over the past year now at least, that there's been so many changes on so many levels, and a lot of us are not sure how to deal with it. It's very uncomfortable. It's just we don't like it, right? At the same time, though, we know when it's necessary. We know when it's time for a new chapter or time for something new, time for something different. Yet it's so hard sometimes to make that leap, even if we know that our lives might be better in taking and going through that change. Yeah, the bird agrees. Even though we know that it's going to make us better and lead us into better situations, it's still so challenging to just take that leap of faith sometimes that we need to take, or take that first step. What's that saying? The first step is the hardest. Getting started is the hardest part. And and I know for me, growing up, because everything stems from childhood, everything stems from the way that we were trained and conditioned and brought up. So for me, everything was pretty consistent. It was the same. There wasn't a lot of change. You knew what to expect day in and day out, even if, not saying it was always comfortable, but it was familiar. So why don't we like change? Well, we like the familiarity of it. We fear the unknown a lot of times because, well, it's the unknown. And a lot of times we fear about the bad things that are going to happen, or we think about all the negative things that could come from this situation, the negative outcomes that are potential. At least that's kind of the way that my brain has been conditioned to be wired. Now, all that is crap, because just as easily as we can think of all of the negative things that could happen, why don't we think about all the positive things that could happen? And that's really the key to switching your mindset into being okay with change and being more open to change, and not having so much anxiety around it and so much fear around it. So that's what I'm really trying to embrace and remind myself of whenever I am being called into a certain change, whatever that situation may be. Thinking, instead of, okay, what are the negative things that could happen here? Switching that to, okay, what are some good things that might be able to come out of this? Even if it doesn't go the way I want it to, I'll either learn from it, or how bad can it be? I'll still be alive tomorrow, those kinds of things. And maybe it might even turn out better than you think. And that has been my experience when I have taken those leaps, and when I have just went for it. Most of the time, it's turned out better than I could have ever expected. So I'll give you guys an example from my personal life. I have been really, really resistant and really, really nervous to step into this new calling, this new me, this new self that I'm being called to transform into and elevate into. I am really nervous right now. But again, I know what I have to do, and I am choosing day by day to step into it, and even if it's uncomfortable, because growth doesn't come from staying in your comfort zone, right? We've heard that, So what was I saying? Okay, so yeah, it's change is super uncomfortable. And even though, like, for example, like this whole like YouTube thing that I just recently started to do, and this new healing business that I'm trying to step into and grow, and because I know it's my calling, I know that this is what I'm here to do. My angels have been guiding me and pushing me towards this path and towards this route for so long now, like for too long now, and I've been being so resistant to it. And so like, wait, what do you want me to do? I don't want to do that. Like, that's not me. That's not where I'm comfortable. Like, I don't do that. Well, guess what? Old me didn't do that. And unless I'm going to stay in the same uncomfortable, familiar place, I need to choose to do something different. And a lot of times, like, we don't like change because we don't feel like we know what we're doing. That's been a big part of it too. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But guess what? Even if we feel like we don't know what we're doing when it comes to a certain change, or we don't know what it's going to look like further down the road, we'll figure it out. Things are always figured out. The people that are meant to come into our life and help us, they'll be there. They'll be there. And I've seen that. You can take my word for it, even if you haven't personally experienced this. If you haven't, decided to take that leap yet, or to take that first step, every single time where I have just decided to trust and go for it, people have met me exactly where I am, and they've been there to help me, been there to guide me, support me. And those experiences have been the ones that I live for and that I remember the most. And they're the ones that you could have never planned. On a human level, like, you couldn't expect it. You had no idea. I mean, they were sent there divinely. They were sent in your path to help you, from your angels in a divine way. So yeah, so I just want anybody who's struggling with change right now, and anybody who is having trouble like stepping into their own power or doing what they know, what you need to do, but you haven't done it yet. Maybe you haven't done it, maybe you've put it off for a month, maybe you've put it off for a year, maybe you've put this off for 10 years. You know what you need to do, and I'm going to encourage you today to do something, like do one thing today to step into that. I decided today to step into what I need to do. I've been really feeling called and pushed to make videos, and sometimes I'm like comfortable with the topic, or like I have a good idea about the topic, and then other days it's like, oh, like, I don't know, is this gonna be good? And it's like, dude, you just gotta start somewhere. And like, we know that, we've heard that, but starting's the hardest part. So anyway, I hope that this is giving you guys an example of, like, if I'm right there with you when it comes to change. It's uncomfortable. We like to stay in our familiar little bubble. Like, when I see change, this is what I always do. I just want to stay in my comfortable blanket and stay where it's warm, and just be there. And what happens? I'm just there, and nothing gets done. And I'm just comfortable, and I sit here, and I'm still in the same place tomorrow as I am today, since I'm deciding to be in my comfort zone. Instead, we need to get out of our comfort zone, decide to grow and evolve, because it's always for our highest and greatest good. Can you think of a time in your life where you decided to go for it, and you decided to take the risk, and you decided to leap, and it was really rewarding? Can you think of a memory in your past where that's happened? It felt really good, right? It felt like success. It felt like achievement. It felt like confidence. It felt like you could do this. It felt like inspiration to take the next step. So whatever that change is that you've been wanting to make, or that you know you've been needing to make, but you've been putting off for whatever reason, whatever excuse, maybe you can decide today to step into that. If you can't step into it fully, dip your toe in. If I can do it, you can do it. So, if you guys would like to share, I'd love to hear what you're going to begin to step into today. Do it with me, please. It would be nice to have somebody walking with me along this path. So let me know what you're going to decide to step into today, okay? It's been too long. Speaking for myself, it's been too long. Sometimes you just got to go with it, trust, jump, we'll be caught. Just have the courage to take that leap. All right, have a beautiful day, guys. Don't be afraid to change.